What? No, wait, Matt, I'd wait for some time, for the right time. I remember now what you're saying, okay. No, I'd have to talk to him about that.
John, you ready?
Yep, we're set.
Stand for the pledge, please. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, everyone. Reminder to please silence your electronic devices. That would be appreciated. We'll call the Village Board of Massena Trustees meeting for December 17, 2019 to order. Roll call, Ms. Winston.
Present.
Mr. Carville.
Here.
Mr. Deshays.
Here.
Mr. Levere.
Here.
I am here. We have a public hearing to consider adopting a local law for user fee increase for water inside and outside of the village. Entertain a motion to open the public hearing.
So
Mr. Levere, second by Mr. Carville. Discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. This is a public hearing. We will take public comment shortly. I'll turn it over to Mr. Levere first.
As discussed at the last couple of meetings, our water fund is at the point where if we don't take action, it will be in a very sore spot next year. So it's usually that 4 to 6 year cycle that rates are traditionally examined. Last time we did this, which was about 4 years ago, the calculations call for a larger increase than what we approved. We did that on purpose in an effort to look at cutting cost and expenses, and we're somewhat successful in that. We were able to get 4 years without the full increase that was projected that was needed, but we're at that point again where we have to look at it. The rates that are proposed in here are the minimum that the projections show that would get us through probably 5 to 6 years, depending on any out of the ordinary expenses that pop up.
Trustees, anything? So let me specify this in the resolution. Users inside the village would see an increased monthly rate per 1,000 gallons from $3.95 to $4.70 for the first 3,000 gallons, from $3.35 to $3.99 for the next 17,000 gallons, and from $2.60 to $3.09 for excess of 20,000 gallons. Users outside the village increase the monthly rate for 1,000 gallons from $4.15 to $4.94 for residential, $7.55 to $8.99 for commercial, $7.55 to $8.99 for industrial, and $4.15 to $4.94 for institutional users. Users outside the village not within a district increase the monthly rate for 1,000 gallons from $5.19 to $6.18 for residential, $9.44 to $11.23 for commercial, from $7.55 to $8.99 for industrial, and from $5.19 to $6.18 for institutional. This is a public hearing. We'll take public hearing at this time, public comments at this time, strictly regarding the consideration of this proposed local law. If you'd like to speak, we'd ask you to please come to the podium, state your name for the record. Seeing none, I would entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Mr. Levere?
second.
Second by Mr. Carville. Discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Public hearing is closed. Trustees, your pledge.
I propose we adopt the resolution as written.
Motion by Mr. Levere,
Second.
second by Ms. Winston. Discussion. This resolution, whole individually. Ms. Winston,
Aye.
Mr. Carville,
Aye.
Mr. Deshays,
Aye.
Mr. Levere.
Aye.
Resolution carries. Reports of officers and committees. Treasurer's report, Mr. Feld.
Hello, everyone. You should have the balance sheet and the revenue expense reports in your bin. Report summaries below, showing where we are through the end of November. Number Number two, the projections have been updated, you should have had those in your pins as well. They've also been provided to the department managers at the same time. Number three, the auditors have completed the in-house portion of the field work and both the internal controls and the financial portions of the audit. We didn't get into details yet, but they expect, typically it's usually the late January that they have a draft for us to start looking at. So they have everything that they have required of me so far. If they need any more, I'm sure I'll be working with them shortly. Number four though, in their examination when they were here, we found out that we have spent for this previous fiscal year, $750,000 is the threshold. If you spend more than that in a year of federally funded revenues, you have to do a single audit. There's some more testing and some more reporting that has to be done. That $750,000 is the current threshold, and we spent about $18,000 over that. So we have to do the extra work, and it increases the fees for them because they have to do a lot more. I think it's more work on them than it is on me for doing a lot more testing of the programs that are involved. And they had estimated to increase their fee by about $2,000. So it was $15,000 is what I reported last month, so they're expecting it's going to be about $17,000 total. Next, number five. We have paid the $10,237.52 in interest for the Center Street and Park Ave sewer lines long-term bond, December 1st. The next one where we will pay principal and interest will be in June, on June 1st. Number six, our health insurance provider at South Blue Cross has updated the premium for the year. They update it on a calendar year basis, so it crosses 2 fiscal years for us. So it's going to impact January through May of this year, this fiscal year, and June through December of 2020 to 2021. As their current enrollments are, they anticipate a roughly $151,775 increase in health insurance for next year. Below you can see the rates. I did a comparison, so it shows the 2019 to 2020 rates increasing 5.74%. When we do the budget for this year, we anticipate had anticipated a 10% increase. So we kind of cover ourselves in that fashion because you never know what it's going to be. So it is more of that, which is good. Number seven, prescription and Medicare supplement plan for employees, retirees, and/or spouses that are age 65 and over. From United Healthcare, also runs on a calendar basis, and they have updated their charges as well. So based on the current enrollment, they're expecting a roughly $19,000 increase in the upcoming year. 19, 20, and 20 rates are showing about a 6% increase.
So those increases are covered already, basically, because you budgeted 10% or something.
Right.
10% was a good call based on historical increases.
Other questions for Mr. Philp? Thank you. Committee reports, code enforcement, Mr. Carville, Mr. LeBeer.
Nothing at this time.
Economic Development Committee, Ms. Winston, Mr. LeBeer.
We had another branding, marketing meeting last night. Work continues. We'll eventually get to a point where we'll have some items to share with both boards and the public. We're just not there yet. And BDC meeting is Thursday.
Fire Committee, Mr. Carville, Mr. LeBeer.
Be meeting tomorrow night.
Personnel Committee, Ms. Winston, Mr. DeShays. Police Committee, Mr. Carville, Mr. DeShays.
Nothing to report at this time.
I just want to thank the officers today that we spent about 6 to 7 hours delivering food items for the neighborhood center today. It was greatly appreciated for the officers that came in. It was just good to see a good, positive relationship with our community members. And part of that is just one way for us to say thank you for the support that we have. So I thank the members for stepping up and assisting delivering the goods that are needed to our community members.
Thank you, that's great, thank you. Recreation Commission, Mr. Shays.
Yeah, Urena's going full blast now, and the biggest attraction down there is what they call rock and skate. And they're getting more than $1,000 each time they've had the session. And now they're planning it every 2 weeks. So it's a good thing, they had to go out and rent or more skates, and really, it's taken hold, it's great. And they've, for the upcoming season, they've got their sponsors to pay for the kids to go skating. They do that every year, and they're well ahead on that. That's coming along fine. See, they had some tournaments out there. They had the Mike tournament, and they go from all over the United States and Canada, and they had so many people, so many teams lined up for it, they had to use the Louisville rink too. So that's a going proposition, which is nice to see that our arenas really utilized. Let's see, what else do we have? Isn't that done? I think that's just about it right now. And the recreation skating is up to $700 for the month, which is good too. Everything's going good down there. Everything's fine.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Street Committee, Ms. Winston, Mr. Rivera. Water and Sewer Committee, Ms. Winston, Mr. Rivera.
I spoke with Mr. Fayad, and the DPW is building an access road to, that'll eventually hold their salt structure, cold storage building, and bulk materials in it. They plan to perform most of the work themselves to minimize the financial impact of the village, which is great. And they'll continue that work weather permitting.
Great. Thank you. Initial public comment period. As always, we ask you to please stand, come to the podium, and state your name for the record. Initial public comment. Seeing none, moving on to old business, discussion, Village of Massena reorganizational study. As you know, we attended the joint meeting last week, so you've had a week to look at it, ask yourself any questions, ask others any questions. So ideally, if we accept the report, I'd like to vote in affirmation that we accept the report as received.
Accepted for the record, you mean?
Yes.
So moved.
Mr. LeBeer, second by Mr. Carver. Discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. New business. So we have a number of items. This is our annual meeting, so a number of the next items are annual resolutions that we are required to pass. So please bear with us. Proposed resolution, annual appointments for December 2019 to December 2020. I'll note there are two changes on here. Kevin Kerr, who served 19 years on the Planning Commission, is not, as requested, not to be reappointed, so we thank him for 19 years of good service. Planning Commission is one of those committees that really does take a lot of work and a lot of time, and we certainly appreciate Mr. Kerr's dedication and hard work for the village. And we have a BDC Board of Directors 3-year appointment. This is a joint appointment with the Village of Massena and the Town of Massena. Michael Bisa is my recommendation. So we can take these as a group if you'd like.
So moved.
Motion to accept all, second by Mr. Carville. It's a resolution, poll individually. Ms. Winston.
Aye.
Mr. Carville.
Aye.
Mr. Deshaies.
Aye.
Mr. LeBeer.
Aye.
The resolution carries. B, proposed resolution, approve agreement with the Town of Massena for a joint code enforcement office. There is no change to this.
So moved.
Mr. LeBeer, second by Mr. Deshaies. Discussion. It's a resolution, poll individually. Ms. Winston.
Aye.
Mr. Carville.
Aye.
Mr. Deshaies.
Aye.
Mr. LeBeer.
Aye.
Resolution carries. Proposed resolution, designate banks for deposit for 2020, 1 Community Bank, 2 NBT Bank, 3 NY Class.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Carville.
Second.
Second by Mr. Deshaies. Discussion. It's a resolution, poll individually. Ms. Winston.
Aye.
Mr. Carville.
Aye.
Mr. Deshaies.
Aye.
Mr. LeBeer.
Aye.
Resolution carries. D, authorize annual agreement with Massena Electric Department for 24-hour emergency telephone service. Chief, there is no change to this, correct?
No, there's not.
So
Motion by Mr. Carlo,
Second.
second by Mr. Deshays. Any discussion? Resolution, poll individually. Ms. Winston?
Aye.
Mr. Carlo? Aye. Mr. Deshays?
Aye.
Mr. Revere?
Aye.
Resolution carries. E, proposed resolution, authorize agreement with Roberts Weinberg for snow and dirt dumping. This does reflect an increase. This was a 600 annual. So let me back up. So this is the parcel that it, well, it used to be the 5-way intersection. It's no longer that. So it's at the intersection of Park Avenue and Center Street and Maple Extension. So this is the parcel to the right where the former mica plant used to be, where we use that for dumping snow. And so he's requested an increase from $600 to $700 annually, reminding me that he's never asked for an increase for the last 5 or 6 years. 5 years? 5 years that we've had it.
So moved.
Mr. Revere?
Second.
Second by Mr. Carvel. Discussion. Resolution, poll individually. Ms. Winston?
Aye.
Mr. Carvel?
Aye.
Mr. Deshays?
Aye.
Mr. Revere?
Aye.
Motion carries. He reminded me also the property is for sale. Totally weren't interested. F, proposed resolution, authorize of department cash drawers and petty cash accounts. I'm going to turn this over to Mr. Felt for an explanation.
Well, this is a new resolution that I'm gonna start doing now annually. I've done it in the past in other places, and what it does, it just kind of states, to shows what kind of, how much cash is sitting out in different departments across the village. I think it's a good thing to do each year, just to let you know what cash is sitting out there. The only thing that's changed from last year, that I do want to change and increase, is in the petty cash account for code enforcement. It was 50, I want to increase it to 150. Biggest reason, the petty cash account mainly are cash pouches. Not really a petty cash account to go buy things, it's more of a, just to make change out of. And the code enforcement's a good example. It was 50, someone will come in with a $50 bill and there goes his change for permits. So I want to increase it to 150, so we're not running back to the bank so often to get change again. DPW was 0, and I want to start them off at $100. I think that should be sufficient, and Haas thinks that should be sufficient. They've been making change out of their pockets for years probably. Someone comes down and buy a recycle bin, and if they don't have the correct change, they're making it out of their pocket. So I want to get them started at $100, and it should be enough to have just a decent kitty to be able to make change out of. So that's the only, it's an increase of $150 compared to what it was last year and what it's been for many years, I'm sure. But this is something I'll start doing each year now, just to update you of what's sitting out there.
And just to clarify, it's not sitting out there, it's just.
Sitting out there locked up.
Motion by Mr. Revere.
Second.
Second by Mr. Carvel. Discussion. This resolution, poll individually. Ms. Winston?
Aye.
Mr. Carvel?
Aye.
Mr. Deshays?
Aye.
Mr. Revere?
Aye.
Resolution carries. G, proposed resolution, authorize fire protection agreement with the town of Massena. If I am correct, this is a 1% increase
1% each year.
each year. And it's a 2-year agreement.
Correct.
Okay.
So,
Second.
Motion by Mr. Revere, second by Mr. Carvel. Discussion. Resolution, poll individually. Ms. Winston?
Aye.
Mr. Carvel? Aye. Mr. Deshays?
Aye.
Mr. Revere?
aye.
Resolution carries. H, award bids from surplus sale at Department of Public Works. Mr. Fayette.
Yep, this was authorized, the bid platform was authorized last month, and it's in regards to the equipment that we have sitting outside. And we really have as much as we can off of them. It's tired iron, so the results are summarized, the bid format completed on Friday, I think it was last week. The bid results are summarized in front of you. There's a total revenue of $7,370 for the items shown, with the exception of lot number 7, which was for $190. That was for the 2003 International Barrel Packer. And then item 9, which was the 99 Srico sewer jet body, where they only bid $100. We're going to, I feel that we're going to, we can capture more revenue by scrap metal. So I'll be reaching out to the vendors in the area for an estimate on that. But I feel that the rest of the items can go for the amount listed, with the exception of those two line items, number 7 and number 9.
Entertain a motion? So moved. Mr. Cargill, second by Mr. Levere. Discussion.
And just to clarify, you're moving the accept them all except 7 and 9?
Yes.
Yep.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Appointments for Police Department Dispatcher. Chief.
Thank you. I would ask that the board appoint Santo P. Francello. He lives in the village of Massena. He is on the civil service list as required by civil service. I would ask that you would allow me to start him part-time immediately in his 2-week transition that he has to give to his boss. For him to come in a few hours, maybe on a Saturday or Sunday, will help him get acclimated to where we are. And then on December 24th, we'll start him full-time. But it'll help alleviate overtime the sooner that I can get him in there. And so I would ask that the village board appoint Mr. Francello.
So the motion would be to appoint him effective immediately. Mr. Levere? Second. Second by Mr. Cargill. Discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Chief. J, discussion, spring cleanup. So as you know, last year we had, we changed the way we did spring cleanup. We stopped curbside pickup. So as we reported, it was relatively successful. Tonnage was down. Really had no major issues. We have heard from a few citizens some of the problems. A few of the items that we had is that some of the people that go away for the winter, what we call snowbirds, did not receive vouchers, so that when they get back, they didn't have a voucher. So we have to look at how we're going to solve that problem. Some of the discussions were, to give them an opportunity to come to Public Works and get their voucher. We've had some interest in extending it a little bit longer. We've had some interest in not requiring the north side 1 week and the south side 1 week. Anyone can go that lives within the village within that 2-week period. I can say for myself personally, who had to borrow my son's truck, I had it all set up and something fell through one day, and those last few days I was sort of struggling a little bit to leave work and get the stuff done, so I can understand that, for people that are working, there are some challenges. So I wanted to throw it out there, have some discussions so that we could think about this, maybe establish some rules, get them out there by January, February at the latest, and of course consult with the Public Works.
Do we know the financial savings
What's
of
that?
that? Do we know how much we saved financially by doing that?
Yeah, there's substantial savings. I think the mayor has the exact numbers.
While he's looking for that, beyond the financial savings, it was great not having
Right,
the
visibly.
piles around the village.
So spring of let me go back to spring of 2017, our expenses were $78,000. Spring of 2018, our expenses were $59,000, almost $60,000. And last year, costs for 2019 were almost $28,000.
So I had the similar situation as you referenced. Needed to utilize someone's truck. They weren't available on the one Saturday available to me. I ended up using half vacation day, which thankfully I had plenty of time. It wasn't an issue for me, but I can definitely understand and relate to those who struggled to find the resource at the right time to get there. So I wouldn't mind seeing the time frame expanded, whether that is simply removing the north-south requirement, which in essence doubles the time, or if you keep the north-south expanding for each.
The third player in this thing is St. Lawrence County. They're the ones that really are requesting the split time, north side, south time. They didn't want to get inundated with a
Sure.
bunch of people and just everything back.
Correct.
That's
And
the reason.
why we discuss it tonight, see what we can possibly make happen if everyone's so inclined, but given some additional time, wouldn't it be a bad idea? I also had a lot of questions about the one voucher limit, and the town outside of the village does two, why can't we do two? I'm not opposed to considering that, just want to throw that out there. Maybe if you need a second voucher, you go to DPW to get it, or mail them, I don't know, but I don't mind having a second voucher, but that's just my personal take on it.
I'm going to proceed on this. I mean, I'm happy to have the discussion with the Public Works Superintendent, come back and make recommendations. If someone on the board wants to be involved and do that, that's fine too. I mean, we pretty much, I think, have listed every concern that we've got, or ideas.
I think that's a good idea. You can have any of the 14 days that you can take it, really, it's, instead of narrowing it down to, well, it's actually 5 days, you know. This will open it up to 10 days, so if
If we
on
can.
vacation, that work week or something, you've got a chance to go to the second week or first week if you can't get there the second week or whatever, so. It gives them more opportunity to be able to get rid of it.
Right.
It is impressive. It was thought out really well. Public Works were very accommodating there. It was a smooth,
Very.
very smooth. Right. So we'll get together and try to hammer out some. Good. Anything else on that? Moving on to K, this is proposed resolution, approved community center tenant lease agreement for UAW Local 465.
So,
Was that Mr. Carl? Mr. Carl?
Second.
Second by Ms. Winston. Discussion? Resolution, poll individually. Ms. Winston?
Aye.
Mr. Carl?
aye.
Mr. Shays?
Aye.
Mr. LeBeer?
Aye.
Resolution carries. L, proposed resolution, authorize agreement with Reach Out, St. Lawrence County Incorporated for Employee Assistance Program Services. There's no changes, correct? No change. Mr. Carl?
Second.
Second by Mr. Shays. Discussion?
Yeah, I just think, see, this has to be, because of the CDL driver's license, they have to have this type of program.
Resolution, poll individually. Ms. Winston?
Aye.
Mr. Carl?
Aye.
Mr. Shays?
Aye.
Mr. LeBeer?
Aye.
Resolution carries. M, resignation, Colin Lucid, Police Chaplain. I received this today. Chaplain Lucid, Pastor Lucid, served this village quite well for really more than 11 years as the police chaplain. So not only performing chaplain services for the police department, but crisis intervention whenever there were serious incidents. It wasn't just police services, it was emergency services. Served on the triad, and really serves in a variety of ways on a couple of projects that we've been working on. So Chief, I don't know if you wanted to add anything to that?
Yeah, no, I just wanted to thank him for his years of service, and not only, as you said, Mayor, did he support our police department, but he supported our community. If we had a big incident come in, he was an individual I could call, and he would be able to step up and start helping victims. And that's a really big item for us, is to be able to let us do our job while they were coming in. If we had, unfortunately, an unintended, we were able to give him a phone call, and he was able to deal with the family members while we were able to do our police work. So he's gonna be sorely missed. He spent a lot of time down there. He did ride-alongs with our patrol officers, checked on them constantly, so he's gonna be missed down there.
Need motion to accept.
Yep.
So,
Second.
Mr. Carvel, second by Mr. Carvel. Discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And authorize local waterfront revitalization program, the LWRP, request for proposals for consultant in conjunction with the LWRP and Water Street Park Enhancements Grant.
it's just authorizing the RFP.
This is just authorizing, we have to accept it once bids come in.
So,
Mr. LeBeer, second by Mr. Carvel. Discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Voucher warrants.
I move that the voucher signed by trustee Carvel, the mayor, and myself be approved.
Second.
Second by Mr. Carvel. Discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Monthly reports. Massena Volunteer Fire Department Incorporated, November of 2019, was presented on the desk, along with Massena Permanent Firefighters Village, Massena Code Enforcement Office for November 2019. Communications and correspondence, I have none. Public comment period. Closing public comment period.
Something.
Hi, my name is Gina Snyder from the Blue Spruce Motel. I had a question about the spring cleanup vouchers, because I think we got rid of fall cleanup a long time ago, right?
Many
So
years
we're
ago.
down to just one,
Correct.
and you're considering like maybe 2 vouchers like the town, which would kind of be like a spring and fall cleanup, right? If you think about it, 2 vouchers. Is there a way that we can give out 2 vouchers that they can turn them in any time of a year? Then it wouldn't be compounded into 1 month, and the expenses will actually be spread out if St. Lawrence County would allow us to. And I think that it wouldn't be so compounded, all getting hit all at one time, and then people will be like, oh, sometime this year I can go to the dump 1 time for free. They'll think of it like, that's their free dump pass, and maybe, use 2 a year. But that was I thought maybe that would be a good idea, then no one, they'll just stick them on their fridge. Everyone will, when they're ready to go. I think that passing them around might be a hard thing too at that point, when you give them out and give them a 2-week period, unless you know that they came from that residence.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you. Further public comment? Questions from the media?
What was the date of Colin Luce's resignation? Is that effective immediately?
Effective immediately.
Thanks. That's all I have.
I'm sorry, effective December 31st.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry. So we do need to hold a special meeting. So as you know, we've been in contract discussions and negotiations with St. Lawrence County and a record management system for the police department. The county passed a resolution last night, which gives us until the end of the year for you to authorize me to sign on our behalf to include the police department in that. So we need to hold a special meeting, so we would be looking at either next Monday or the following Monday, the 30th of December, to hold a special meeting at 5:30. So the results they came in late today. It's too big of a item, in my view, for us to rush it, put on the agenda. So there's cash up front, and then there's a long-term deal to sign. So I didn't want to throw on tonight's agenda. I think that was fair. I wanted to make sure we got the information out to the public, and so if anybody had opinions on it, they could come. So for full disclosure, I prefer to hold a public, special meeting either next Monday or the following Monday at 5:30. But I don't know what your availability is.
This coming Monday would be better.
23rd, December 23rd at 5:30 p.m. Herb?
I think so.
Okay,
That's gonna be fine to me now.
okay. So we would hold a special meeting Monday, the 23rd of December at 5:30 p.m. To consider the county proposal for the RMS system, the records management system for the police department. And we will get you the information well in advance and also to the media. Anything else on that, Chief? Motion to adjourn? Oh, I'm sorry. Any other public comment? Yes.
Hi, my name is Robert Spears. On October 23rd, Chief Adam Love revoked my taxi license and told me I have to come here to get it back.
Okay,
I don't know how this works.
okay. So section 279 of the village code, which is our taxi cab code, the chief has authority to revoke licenses. So you're asking to appeal his decision to the village board?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So there are 2 ways that you can do that, because the code doesn't specify the procedures. So I would give you 2 opportunities to do it. Number 1 would be to put your appeal in writing to us, and we could consider it. Or if you wanted to come in executive session and to put your appeal verbally to us, in other words, tell it to us, we would give you that opportunity as well.
which one would be easier for you guys?
I prefer it to be easier for you. If you want us to listen to it tonight, we can take it into executive session and hear it because of confidentiality reasons. And then we would come back into public hearing if we were gonna make a decision.
I'll write it down for you.
Tonight?
Yep,
Okay.
thank you.
Okay. So trustees, I would entertain a motion to enter executive session for the purpose of holding a hearing on the revocation of a taxi cab license pursuant to 270-9 of the Village Code.
Again,
So a motion by Mr. LaBeer, second by Mr. DeShay. Discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. So media, I would expect that we would make an announcement after the hearing.
Okay, I have to get to something else, so I'll
Okay.
just bother you.